Let's talk about a situation that so many couples face, but almost nobody wants to talk about. He earns more, she spends more. On the surface, it's just a financial fact. But underneath, there's this quiet tension, isn't there? A power shift here, a little judgment there, and that silent pressure, it can unravel absolutely everything.
So that brings us to the big question, the one that really matters. When your financial styles are just completely out of sync, when one of you is the primary earner and the other is the primary spender, can your love actually survive that kind of friction? Is it even possible? And look, let's be crystal clear about how high the stakes are here. If I asked you what the number one predictor of divorce is, you'd probably say cheating, right? But you'd be wrong. It's not infidelity, it's money. Study after study shows that tension over finances is one of the single strongest signs that a relationship is going to fail. It's the silent threat that most of us just try our best to ignore.
Welcome to DITTA Finance. This is the place where we have those tough, honest conversations about money and real life. Because, let's face it, they're just too important to sweep under the rug. So, let's get into it.
Okay, so we know it's a huge deal, but why? Why does money have this unique power to just tear relationships apart? Well, the answer isn't just a feeling we have. It's actually baked right into the data.
Let's kick things off with a number that might just shock you. A study from CNBC and SurveyMonkey found that a whopping 70% of couples argue about money. Just think about that for a second. That means if you're in a relationship, the odds are overwhelming that you've had this exact fight. It's the norm, not the exception. But here's where it gets even trickier. That same study found that when you throw an income imbalance into the mix, where one person makes significantly more money, those arguments become so much more intense. It's like the financial gap just magnifies the emotional one. And we're not just talking about a few bad arguments either. We're talking about the final outcome. A long-term study out of Kansas State University dropped this bombshell. Couples who fight about money early on in their marriage are significantly more likely to end up getting divorced. It is a massive warning sign. So here's the absolute key, the thing you really have to get. We think we're fighting about the credit card bill or the cost of a vacation, but we're not. Not really. We're fighting about what that money represents. It's a trigger for all our deepest stuff. Our need to feel secure, our sense of power or powerlessness, and our fundamental need to feel respected. All right, so let's break that down. First, let's dissect this income power dynamic, because the moment one paycheck is bigger than the other, the entire vibe of the relationship quietly shifts, and it happens whether you want it to or not. What's so fascinating here is that you've got these two totally different realities happening under one roof. On one side, you've got the higher earner. They often feel this immense pressure to provide, which can slowly bubble up into this quiet resentment, this feeling of, hey, I make the money, so I should get the final say. But on the other side, the lower earning partner is wrestling with feeling less confident, maybe not quite like an equal, and feeling, dependent. And all these feelings just simmer in silence until, eventually, they explode. Okay, so that's the income side of the equation. Now let's flip the coin and talk about spending, because this is huge. How we spend our money has almost nothing to do with math and everything to do with our emotions. I mean, just think about it. Why do you buy what you buy? Maybe you spend extra on certain things because it makes you feel safe, or you splurge on a vacation because it brings you pure joy. Maybe you're the opposite. You save every single dime because it makes you feel in control. And then, of course, there's the big one, hiding what you buy, either out of fear of judgment or just plain shame. And right there, that's the flashpoint. The fight isn't about the new gadget or the expensive dinner. It's about perception. The conflict kicks off the second one partner sees that spending, not as an emotional need, but as just irresponsibility, as a sign of disrespect. So what happens when you take that income gap and you mix it with these emotional spending habits? And then you pour in the single most corrosive ingredient of all? Silence. You get the absolute most volatile, most explosive combination you can have in a relationship. This right here, this is the tipping point. And it's a pretty simple recipe for disaster. Step 1, one partner earns more. Step 2, the other partner spends more. And step 3, the step that lights the fuse, neither of them talks about it. Not openly, not honestly. The result of that silence is just devastating. Your partnership stops feeling like a team and starts feeling like a business transaction. Love turns into accounting. And money,
Money becomes a scoreboard. Every dollar earned, every dollar spent is just another point for one side or the other.
But here is the good news. It really doesn't have to end this way. So let's pivot. Let's talk about the solution. How do you stop keeping score and start acting like a team again? Well, healthy couples have a totally different playbook. And it all starts with changing one simple thing, the question you're asking. Research from the legendary Gottman Institute shows that successful couples stop asking, "Whose money is this?" or "Who spent that?" Instead, they ask a much more powerful question: what are we building together? And that one question, it changes all the rules. The new rules look like this. First, you separate income from authority. Making more money doesn't make you the boss. Second, you separate spending from character. Spending differently doesn't make one person good and the other bad. Third, you agree on your shared values before you even start talking about a budget. And finally, and this is crucial, you talk about money regularly without blame. When you boil it all down, it comes to this simple but powerful equation. Long-term success is about collaboration, not control. Look, if there's only one thing you take away from this today, please let it be this. Your relationship can survive this pressure. Love survives, but only when money stops being a personal weapon that you use to attack each other, and it starts being an intentional tool that you use to build a future together. So now I'd love to hear from you. Does this dynamic sound familiar, the higher earner and the higher spender? Have you seen this play out in your own life or with people you know? Drop your story in the comments below. Let's talk about it. And hey, if you find these kinds of straightforward conversations about the real-world impact of money valuable, please subscribe to DITTA Finance. We're building a whole community here to talk about these exact issues. And make sure you stick around, because next time, we're going to dig even deeper into why money problems are almost always just relationship problems in disguise. You are not going to want to miss that one. Thanks for watching.